Good afternoon. Regular session, Mayor and City Council meeting, 6 p.m., Wednesday, May 7th. This is an amended agenda. I call this meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for invocation.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Invocation will be presented by Pastor Asad Crespo, Centro Familiar Cristiano. Pastor. Gracias.
Primeramente le quiero dar gracias a Dios por el privilegio que me da de hacer esta oración juntamente con ustedes y a la ciudad de Nogales por honrarme con esa invitación. Señor y Padre nuestro, te damos gracias por este día que nos permites vivir y ser parte, Señor, de las decisiones que se toman en esta ciudad. Te pido, Señor, que tú des sabiduría a cada uno de los miembros, Señor, de nuestras autoridades para tomar la mejor decisión. Siempre la decisión que vaya encaminada, Señor, por el bien de nuestra comunidad. Te pido, Señor, sabiduría, dirección, fortaleza para cada uno de ellos y sus familias. De igual manera te pido la bendición, Señor, para esta hermosísima ciudad de Nogales, Señor. Bendice nuestros comercios, nuestras familias, nuestras autoridades, nuestros niños, nuestros jóvenes. Señor, bendice nuestras familias en general. También, Señor, tu palabra dice que oremos por la paz de la ciudad, porque en la paz de la ciudad nosotros tendremos paz. Te pido pues que haya paz en esta ciudad, que haya paz en nuestros hogares y haya paz en nuestros corazones. En el nombre del Padre, del Hijo y del Espíritu Santo. Amén.
Muchas gracias. Gracias, Pastor. Call to the public. Anybody? Empty?
I don't have anything.
Thank you very much. Item number 6, presentation of FY 13 City of Nogales audit. Mr. Dilly.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. We have with us Dennis Osech. He represents the audit firm that conducted our independent audit for fiscal year ending 13. And turn the time over to him to present the audit to the council, and I'm sure he's here to answer any questions you might have about that audit.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, council. What I want to do tonight is just briefly go over the audit that we performed and the purpose of the audit, and then at the end I'll open it up for any questions that you might have. So we were hired to do the audit for the fiscal year ended June 30, 2013. We performed that audit in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles, and then we also performed an audit of the federal programs as well. So you'll see both of those in your packet, the largest one being the annual financial report. As part of the financial statements, the purpose of the audit is really to provide an opinion on the financial statements as to whether they're in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. And I'm happy to report this year that we did issue an unmodified opinion, which is a clean opinion, whereas in the past we had that modification related to capital assets as well as the other post-employment benefit liability that was in there. Those were two items during the year that the city had corrected, and so we performed obviously some detailed test work related to that because this was the first year that we're providing an opinion on those areas. And so, as I said, we're happy to report that we were able to issue an unmodified opinion this year related to that. As I mentioned, we also issued the single audit report. The purpose of the single audit report, there's two reports that are included in there. One is the Government Auditing Standards Report. We don't issue an opinion within the Government Auditing Standards Report. What that is we basically report on the internal controls over the financial statements. And so we'll report material weaknesses and or significant deficiencies within that report. Basically, any type of deficiency is any control lapse that we note within an audit. A significant deficiency would be a control where we feel that it's important, it merits the attention of governance, and so we want to bring it to your attention, and so we include it in that Government Auditing Standards Report. And then a material weakness is a control deficiency where either it resulted in a material misstatement or we felt the control was such that it could result in a material misstatement. And so those are reported within the government auditing standards report. As I mentioned, we don't provide an opinion on internal controls, we just report on internal controls. The second report that you'll see in there is the OMB compliance report. Within that report, we do issue an opinion. We give an opinion on compliance related to the federal programs that are selected for testing. Certain criteria have to be met. But for the fiscal year ended June 30, 2013, we looked at two programs, the Community Development Block Grant Program, as well as the Homeland Security Grant Program. We issued clean opinions on compliance, and then we also report on internal controls over compliance related to those programs. And we had a couple of items that were noted within there, but nothing that caused a material non-compliance related to those programs. So those are the two main reports that we issue as part of the audit. However, to go along with that, we also issue the annual expenditure limitation report. That we give an opinion on as to whether the town or the city is in compliance with the annual expenditure limit amount, as well as whether the expenditure limitation report is in accordance with the requirements of the state of Arizona. And we issued a clean opinion on that report as well. And then finally, a couple of other reports. We also provide any type of, I had mentioned, significant deficiencies and material weaknesses are reported to governance. For items that we didn't feel really elevated to the level that needed to be brought to the attention of governance, but we felt maybe we could improve efficiencies within the organization, we would provide a management letter to management. So that we would issue that report, and then we also issued a report on the highway user revenue funds. We provide an opinion as to whether those funds were used in accordance with state requirements. We took a sample of both payroll and non-payroll disbursements in order to test that, and we did issue a clean opinion on that report as well. So other than that, hopefully you've all had a chance to go through the reports. I know I've presented the past couple of years, so I won't spend too much more time on it, but I will be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Just as a question, how long have you been doing the audit report? How long?
I'm trying to think. Probably the last 8, 9 years, something like that.
Is there a big difference in the last couple of years to what it used to be before?
I would say it's a significant difference.
Significant difference?
Yes.
It goes to show that really you should know what you're doing. Is that basically you should report on?
That
the city should know what they're doing when they're having expenditures? Well, as compared to what it was previously.
Yeah, I would say that the controls are much better. You can tell from the government auditing standards report, which really speak directly to the financial statements. You know, if you compared it to even 6 years ago or 5 years ago, there is a significant difference in the number of findings that we had, which shows and tells me that there's been some improvement in internal controls. And then the elimination of the modifications that were there, you know, takes that even a step further, because now the financial statements, at least we can provide an opinion on those areas, on all of the financial statements, whereas in the past there were certain pieces we couldn't provide an opinion related to it.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead, Mr. Jones.
Mr. Members of the council, Dennis, thank you so much for coming and doing this. I would like to publicly express my gratitude for an amazing team helping to get through this process. And this process hasn't just been a year process. This process has been a multiple year process. Jeanette's been instrumental. Aaron White's been instrumental. A number of people have been very, very helpful in terms of applying their skill set, their abilities, and tackling this problem. The problem being is, you know, it's difficult to communicate that we're a government that you can trust, a government that is fiscally sound, a government that has implemented good controls in its fiscal management. If you continue year after year having these audit reports that show material deficiencies. I'm very pleased. Some people may have seen, I wanted to start clapping when I heard Dennis, you know, give his report, because it is in fact the first time in many, many years that we've been able to represent a clean audit. No doubt there's always room for improvement. Internal controls can always be, you know, looked at and readdressed. And I'm confident that we have staff that keep their eye on it. And I'm just really excited to be able to have experience this point in time which is kind of a turning of a chapter for our community if you compare where we've been to where we're at today. So I'm extremely proud of our staff, and I wanted to make sure that was publicly acknowledged.
Great job.
And if I can just add to that too as well, from our perspective, I want to thank Aaron and Jeanette as well. They can probably attest to it that, we probably put them through the ringer this year. We didn't make it easy because obviously we're providing an opinion this year on the capital assets. So we were pretty rough on it as far as making sure that we actually could give an opinion. So they were very patient, but and it provided with us with everything that we asked for. So I appreciate that.
Jeanette, thank you very much. And Aaron? Thank you very much, guys. Is that it?
That's it
I don't
for
have
me.
any questions. The only person that asked questions remembers is
I just had to congratulate the whole staff compared to
Yes.
what it was when we first came on board.
Yes.
I don't want to even mention names or anything, but it was zero control, zero knowledge of anything. I mean, I remember one time talking to the finance minister at the time and telling him, "You don't know anything. I know more than you do, and I don't know anything." That's how bad it was, right? So I congratulate everybody that was involved in bringing it up. And hopefully we never get those people again.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Thanks. All right. Number 7, reports. A, update on Chase parking. Councilman Diaz requested this, Mr. Tilly.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. I'd like to just express appreciation to Councilman Councilman Diaz for keeping this issue on the table. We have reached out to Chase Bank, who then directed us to the property development management group. We have been in contact with them. We've raised the issue, we've raised the question. We have not heard back from them yet. So at this point in time, we really don't have too much to report other than we have made contact, we have raised the question. I can tell you that regardless of that staff hasn't been idle in the process, we are doing our own engineering work to see what makes sense there, assuming that the bank is willing to move forward with something so that we're not wasting time. But we haven't heard back from the bank as to whether or not they're even interested in considering an offer to acquire.
Thank you, Mr. Tilly. Is that okay, Councilman? Item number B, update on the Meadow Hills neighborhood meeting. Mr. Tilly?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. We are prepared to provide you a bit of an update on that. I turn the time over to Mr. Kissinger for that update.
Mr. Mayor,
Go ahead.
Mr. Mayor, as you're aware, on February 18th, the city hosted a neighborhood meeting with the Meadow Hills people. There was over 143 residents in attendance. We did our best to give out information on the current situation of the Paloluro golf course with the residents. And we listened very carefully to their concerns and try to get their interest on how to proceed forward as directed by council. And attached to your agenda is the bullet points on the information we received from the residents and we brought back to you. I'm not sure, in order to save time, I'm sure y'all could read through it. So I won't go over all of the issues, but overwhelmingly, the residents there at least appeared to have the desire to return to a golf course restaurant type of land use. In addition, last Friday, we put out our 25th? On the 25th, we put out our fourth request for proposals. I can tell you that before we put out the request for proposals, I know of at least 3 different entities that expressed interest in it. So we're hoping with this request for proposal we'll get a qualified bidder in, so we can proceed forward in leasing out, the restaurant and, driving range and the other buildings that are in the area.
Yeah, well, that's something that I hope we can get something, because that'd be a good start. And occupying those buildings and putting a restaurant and the driving range. Some more activity, some type of activity in there.
Mr. Mayor, if there isn't any questions, that concludes my report on.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
And I believe they've gone through your office, Mr. Machado, for the RFPs. That's right.
If you'd like to discuss it, that's probably broad enough, so we can discuss it under B if you want. Any questions regarding the RFP? For
Yes, you prepared one and it's waiting there.
The RFPs went out for the rental of the building and the related buildings and so on. And those proposals are due to the city May 22nd.
May 22nd. Okay. That's
So
good.
hopefully this time we'll get some.
Okay, great. Well, thank you very much. Item number 8, discussion items. A, discussion and possible action on summer youth program. Human Resources is going to do that, or you, Mr. Jones?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, let me just get it kicked off. We were in front of you not too long ago talking to you about how we're going to move forward with the employment of some of the youth in our community as it relates to our summer youth programs. We've run into a little bit of a glitch in following to the exactness the policy that you guys have put into place. HR, Elva is here to identify where we need your consideration in order for us to be able to move forward.
Mayor,
Go ahead.
Eva Rio Chavez, HR Director. So the summer youth program back in March, we came forward and we made some recommendations for this year. One of the recommendations was the employment of employee relatives. So I'm here to talk about the lifeguard position only because that's the one that we're experiencing problems with. So for the lifeguard position, we need about 12 lifeguards. Ideally, we want to hire 14 only because we don't know who's going to go through the whole program and quit. So we want to have those extra bodies in there. So we have received a total of 12 applications. However, these 12 applications, none of them are certified. So you do need a certification. So Marcel has put together or is trying to put together a training class to get these individuals certified. I directed my staff to contact all these applicants and explain to them what it's going to take for them to get this position, the certification. Obviously, we're considering school, so the training is going to be after school and possibly some weekends. So at this point, we got their commitment, but we don't know if they're going to go through, and then that's where we're going to get into trouble if they do not complete the certification. So we're here, Marcel and myself, because if for some reason these 12 individuals do not go through the program and get certified, we do have 3 other applicants that are certified, have the experience, and are ready to go, but they are related to some of our employees. So I guess the direction we want from you is, what do we do if we need?
Will they be under supervision from any of these employees?
Do they, excuse me?
Will they be supervised by any of the employees?
Yes, there is a lead instructor who is there at all times.
No, I'm saying, is it
Oh.
a relative? A relative?
No,
So it's not nepotism?
no.
So it's just an issue of having somebody in relation to the city working in the summer youth program?
Yes.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
The policy that council established when we last discussed was we would not hire any youth that was a relative of any of our employees.
Yeah, I understand.
So we're running into this little bit of a hiccup in the event that the 12 that we have decide not to dedicate themselves to getting certified, not going through that process. We have to operate a program, or we have to cut the program back so that we can just operate with what we have. We do have enough of an interest by certified youth. It just happens that 3 of those certified youth are relatives to one of our employees or whatever. So
Well,
that-
the
that's
reason you're saying that is to see if we can authorize for them to be employed if they have to.
if they have.
Is that's the reason you're
Because-
talking about?
That's right.
Okay, that's what I'm saying.
Mhm.
I just wanted to see if there was any relation to any that would be nepotism.
No,
No. not
no,
nepotism.
there's 2 of them that are related to an employee that works in the parks, I believe, but it's not,
In relation to.
no.
And how many hours do they have to have so that they can be certified? The ones that, those 12, will they make it between now and then, Marcel? If they go through the whole program?
It takes approximately a total of 6 to 8 full days, so total hours. So that we have, we plan on starting this the week of May, which would be next week already, actually. May the 12th, and trying to work around their school schedules and stuff that goes on at the end of the year. We think we can squeeze it in before we have to open the pool on June the 2nd.
And the interest is there? It looks
Yeah,
like
we've
they really
got
want to do
the
it.
interest there, it's just a matter, we can't guarantee that they'll all pass the certification. And our only concern is in the event that we don't, that we have at least a plan B, that this board would allow us to consider those certified lifeguards that are relatives of city employees.
So,
I'm very glad that you're bringing this issue up to standards. You're gonna have some more people interested in being lifeguards. How many years has the same lifeguards been working, the same lifeguards? For how many years?
The same lifeguards that we have now, the sad truth of it is that the only ones we have coming back are the three lifeguards that are certified from city relatives of
How
city
many years
employees.
have they been the only 3, that's what I'm asking, how many years they've been working as lifeguards? The same 3 people?
They've only been employed by the city for 1 year. 1 year, last summer. Okay. And I actually plan on holding another class in the fall, so we don't have to go through this next.
That's great, that's really great.
so members of the council, they are asking for an opportunity in case plan B, so, where do we stand on that?
Legal opinion?
Legal,
I'm sorry, say that again?
he wants a legal opinion on plan B.
As far as the policies, breaking policy to hire these 3 people.
Yeah, but I understood that even if we use these 3 people, it wouldn't be a violation of the policy, right?
No.
It's not a violation
This
of
is
our
not
personnel
nepotism.
policy.
Because they're
We're okay.
It's
There's
not
no
nepotism.
Yeah.
It's not nepotism, right?
So there really is no issue.
We've been directed by the city council.
Yeah, the higher, trying to limit that, but I mean, according to our policy, it doesn't, nepotism is, as long as it's not nepotism, it's okay.
Correct.
So should we, go ahead, Councilman.
There was another question, and not necessarily pertaining right now to the lifeguard issue. If you're, I'd rather have you done with that, and then I'll ask.
Okay. Should we vote on this, or should we give you direction, or what do you want?
Since you approved the policy of hiring for the youth programs via a vote of the council, direction to go ahead and have an exception to that would probably be a vote as well.
Okay. So the motion should be Plan B in case it fails?
In case we need it.
Okay, let's go with that. Mr. Parada? Yes. Okay, so we have a second on that?
Second.
Second, all right. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Marcel, try your best to get those certified. I'm sure you will. And that, I'm sure you're gonna get it done in the fall.
Going back to that question, Mayor,
Oh, which question is that?
that I wanted to ask, Human Resources.
Does it have to do with the summer youth program?
With the summer.
Okay, go ahead.
I remember we talked a little bit about the hiring, I guess there's a few stipulations that were placed. And my interest is, that I think we covered for the lower income,
Yes.
kids.
Absolutely.
What percentage was it that,
There was 10 positions that we put aside that we were gonna be considering the income.
I thought we had mentioned 20%, Mayor.
I can't remember, but I
It
know
was
we
10
talked about
positions.
10%.
It was 20% of the total of the 50 projected employees, so that puts us at 10.
10 employees,
10 employees,
not 10, so it'd be 20%.
20% of the total
but it's
gives
10
us
employees.
10 employees.
Okay, that's what it is, okay.
So just to add to that, absolutely, I reached out to the high schools and got some recommendations. So I have attached those to the applications to be considered.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good job. B, discussion possible action of February 2015 water fees. Councilman Diaz.
Okay, on this issue, I asked for this issue because, as we all know, a lot of people here in Nogales are gonna be facing unemployment if they're already not unemployed. Water rates have been going up, as we voted on a couple of years ago. We have a big, rate increase in February. I think it's a $5 per 10,000 gallon rate increase.
Approximately.
So what I'm asking for is to give these people a break, is to defer the water rate increase in February. With all the construction going on, the warehousing, the retail outlets that are being built, the restaurants, you'll give people a little break to where they can make a little money and then be able to afford a water rate increase. Also, having low water rates will maybe increase people wanting to come down here for low utility rates, more economic development, and you know, be a little easier on people's pocketbooks. So I'm asking for a deferment on water rate increases that are going to be in February.
Councilman Diaz, is this like for a year's time or?
I'd say a year's time, and maybe and then our water rate, our water fund and our sewer fund, they're in the black. They're pretty stable. They're going up instead of down, which is good. Maybe we can look at it again this year and defer it for a year, and maybe if we can defer it another year or do away with it, that would, depending on what the situation is a year from now.
You know, Mr. Dilly, you know how I feel about this. Remember several years back? I was the only one that voted against it. And everybody else voted for the water rates. But, you know, I do believe that, because, you know, I've had matter of fact, I've had 3 people in this past week in my office discussing this because of the water rates. And they're elderly. These are elderly people. And luckily our angel, Angel, has helped us out, and he works with the people and stuff like that. And you know, I believe that if we defer it, I don't think it's going to hurt anything. Like the councilman says, you know, we are in the black. We're doing okay. I know that we discussed needing this for future infrastructural issues, and I know we discussed it also to make some payments. I think, Mr. Dilly, am I right? And I don't know. It's something that is, yeah. It's something that you and I have discussed several times. But you know, I agree with Councilman Diaz.
I'll make the motion to approve his motion to freeze the.
Second.
Okay, before we do that, if that's the direction of the council, then what I would like to do is postpone the formal actions. We can prepare an order for the next meeting. So if that's what the council is,
Yes.
that's your direction, that we're gonna defer the next increase for 1 year. Is there another increase after that?
No, that's the last
Before
one.
we
Okay, then
before we
I think
do
we need a
we just
formal order.
before we do the 1 year, Mr. Dilly, would you explain? I know you have something in your mind.
Yeah, so, thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, and I certainly appreciate the interest in doing something. The motion, when it does come, should be to direct staff to prepare an order to effectuate that 1 year deferral. Then that'd be seconded, and then you guys take action on that. that would direct staff, we would prepare that order and come back in front of you in June to go ahead and pass it and move it forward. Okay, so, but if I could, Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead, Mr. Judge.
It seems like we are quick to forget the situation we're in that prompted the $25,000 expenditure to hire a consultant to come in to do the model and the study in the first place. We see the fund begin to turn around and to come back, both water and sewer, and then all of a sudden we want to give up on the whole game plan. In order for us to take care of the projects that this community needs that were identified in that study that you approved as a city council, it's going to take half of the funding coming from bonds and the other half coming from cash balances. You're not going to get the cash balances to pay for that if you expect that fund to operate at a zero balance. These are enterprise funds. They're designed by nature to be operating like a business where you have tuck away money to pay for the capital the capital projects that you have in terms of new development and also in terms of the repair of aged infrastructure, i.e. Crawford. I mean, we can't do anything on Crawford right now because we don't have enough money in the bank to go ahead and take care of that. Well, that's what this model did for this city, and we're seeing it work. My recommendation to the council is to allow it to play out, to allow this to happen so that you guys can positively change the future of Nogales in our ability to provide quality service to the customers that we serve. Now, we're not going to be able to do this if we don't see this thing through. The first couple of increases were front-loaded for the sewer benefit. That was the biggest red hole that we had. It was sucking money from water, it was sucking money from the general fund, and over the last 3 years, we've seen that balance turn to where this is the first year that we see an actual positive balance in the sewer. The last increase, scheduled for February 2015, is for the most part benefiting the water fund. The water fund didn't get hardly any benefit the first couple of increases, and slowly that's switching back over so that we can take care of these improvements. We're sitting here, how long has it been since we've said, hey, we need a west side pressure zone? How long? It's been years, and that's like the last commercial and industry development frontier that the city of Nogales has right now. And yet we're unable to do much with it because we don't have a west pressure zone, which requires a tank, which is about $3.5 million, and it takes money to make that happen. So I urge the council not to lose sight of what was started a few years ago when we put in place this model, this plan, and by virtue of that plan, established a rate increase structure to take a vision into reality for our community. Right now, just so you know, the plan expected that we would have a certain number of money coming in to the water fund and the sewer fund. I will tell you that we haven't kept pace with that, even with what the study said was going to happen. We're short $1.6 million, almost $1.7 million in the water fund, and we're short almost 5.2 million in the sewer fund in terms of where the study said we would be today. Now, a lot of things play into that. People, when they know that their water rates are going to go up, they get a little bit smarter about what kind of water consumption they have. Maybe I'm not going to water that tree quite as much during the course of the week. But then you have other issues at play. People moving out, people moving in. What my point is that even if you were to stick to the plan, we're still short, and already that's a problem. So if we complicate this problem by deferring these increases, then it's only gonna slow it down that much more. And I just, you know, if you're talking about deferring projects that have a commercial or an industry benefit, that's almost cutting our nose off to spite our face, because that's what puts money in the bank, is to have cash registers going, to have jobs created. And so, you know, I urge the council to consider all of this before you make a decision. And at the end of the day, obviously, you know, staff's going to put forward the policies that you put into place. But I wanted to make sure you had the benefit of that information before making that kind of decision.
Mr. Dillon, we just try to put it in hold. The reason why, just to step up until the economy stabilizes a little bit. Okay, we're not gonna throw the idea away. We're gonna just get it in hold, we're gonna freeze it for now. Until the economy stabilizes a little bit, then we can start moving forward. The reason why, you know, the people are arguing about the regular wages for the employees, like whatever the rate is 75. You gotta see those points, because most of the people that gas up their cars, they lose almost a day's work. And those people that used to buy bacon a year ago, paid $3.49, now you pay $6. So that's lowering their dollar value, close to nothing. And most of our people are getting the minimum.
Right, Councilor.
Mr. Dilly, well, the reason I bring this up, because there's a lot of unfortunate people out there that can't even afford to buy groceries. I've been to Food City, and people are just buying that dollar little maruchanas and stuff like that, and they're having a real hard time. I'm just asking for the deferment for a year. Let these people get a job at one of these new places they're building, or something that may open up. Give them a chance to get back on their feet, and it'll help them out, and eventually it's going to help the city out. You know, we're here to protect our constituents, to look after the welfare of 21,000 people here. So whether they make money or they don't make money, they're our responsibility. That we should look after them too.
Mr. Mayor?
Go ahead, Mr. Dillon.
Councilman Diaz, I do appreciate that. You guys have already made the hard decision. You made that several years ago when you put this plan into place. You made a hard decision. You're asking yourselves to make that hard decision again if you defer this. My guess is that even if you deferred this, you're not going to have people coming to you saying, okay, now I'm ready for the increase. You're not going to have it.
We can bring it back, and maybe instead of going $5 one time, we could do $2.50 and then $2.50 later on. After these people, get on their feet, give them a chance to a little breathing room.
There you go. Okay. That's breathing room.
Breathing room.
They need some breathing room, Mr. Dilly.
Okay.
Yes.
It's your policy. It is. I'm just giving you a recommendation.
I mean, it's like a fine tuning, It's like a fine tuning.
We're not going to do away with this last day increase, or maybe we get lucky and the water fund and the sewer fund get, they make all kinds of money. We can eliminate it, but we're not going to make it go away right now. We're just going to give people a chance, to get on their feet and give them some breathing room and not hit them with an increase in February.
Mr. Machado, what's the motion?
Well, if that's the direction of the council, I got it.
Okay.
I'll prepare a motion or an order to that effect, and then we
next
can
council
vote on
meeting.
it formally for the next
Okay,
council.
Mr. Machado, can we go like 250 and 250? I mean,
Well, but
the last $5?
that's a different direction.
That's a different.
So,
Yeah.
Well, right now,
I thought you were just gonna defer it 1 year.
But then we come back with
That'll be it.
Next year.
Order to defer for a
Councilman,
year.
this is your item. What is it that you want?
Well,
You want to
I'd
go
like
250, you want to defer it for 1 year,
defer it for a year, and then 250, 250,
when it comes back?
when it comes back.
Okay, that's the direction. Thank you very much,
Very
Councilman.
good, Councilman.
Thank you, guys.
Number 9, consent agenda. No, let's go to Timono.
Yes.
Discussion and possible direction to Honorable National Grant. Mr. Jelly?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. You probably all received in your boxes that standard letter that comes from the Tohono O'odham Nation relative to their annual grant award. There are deadlines. I think it's in June that we have to submit an application if the council so desires. We've been at the table several times in considering different types of projects to put forward for their consideration. Over the last several years, we really haven't been that successful. So we're here tonight. Staff is certainly interested in doing the pleasure of the council relative to a grant application this next year with the Tohono O'odhams. We have in your packet just a concept, an idea. We haven't tried kind of a health or wellness recreational type component with the Tohono O'odhams. We understand that that's something that they're kind of fond of, those types of projects. The concept is basically taking a design path up at the new soccer field that we put in place, the Hohokam field, and having that path meander around the field itself. We're considering ways to have that path go all the way down to the restaurant, or I'm sorry, the restroom facilities. Nice to have a restaurant down there. Restroom facilities down there, and then come back up. You can get really elaborate with these things, having these these stations along the way with benches and maybe interpretive trail type thing. We were not considering that in this, at least this first round. Maybe that could be a phase 2 of this project with the nation if they kind of bite at that carrot. But certainly that doesn't have to be the project that's put forward by the council. We just wanted to get the thinking juices going on something, and we're here to take direction from council. If you want to put an application in, if you have an idea, if this is the idea that we want to all get behind, great. We'll further develop it and put an application in. But we wanted to have that dialogue with you tonight.
Vice Mayor, you had mentioned the increasing the amount from the other one for post-secondary education also, from the 150,000 that we had from the first money from the Tohono.
The building fund there?
Yeah. What you had mentioned that what you think that should be a direction we should go and ask for more money to.
The problem is we haven't used that money yet, so we may be getting, asking for something more than what we used before, rather not used.
Yeah, because if we go health and wellness, Mr. Julie, I think, and we can get an overview of it. I honestly, I believe health and wellness, because even the Carondelet is going on that, and all the health services are going on health and wellness. There's a big program going on in the state of Arizona. Maybe that would be something that we could get some money from the Tohono O'odham. I mean, at least apply for a health and wellness grant. And the criteria, health and wellness is on there, plus education. Aaron, is it?
I have it right here.
Yes. So health and wellness is on.
Walking path.
Walking path, yeah. Bicycle.
Yeah, so they have the categories, the priority areas are education, healthcare, public safety, child advocacy, economic development, and cultural and environmental development and protection.
Well, we've been shut down twice for public safety. We
But
got
we
shut
think
down for culture and, I think.
We think a walk path might fit into that healthcare type, type component.
Because that could also be incorporated with the job that we're doing at the Little League, to improve that whole area. After we're investing over $100,000.
Has everybody seen this? Right? I think it's attached in your packet. But the soccer field is here, and here's our parking lots up there. Maybe taking off from this high parking lot and working around. Although the map doesn't show it, we're also considering maybe how we can do a switchback down to the bottom. Take advantage of the restroom facilities that are down there already, and then somehow get back up here with the switchback as well. We don't know if that's going to work or not, but if that's the general idea and you guys all want to get behind that and direct staff to move forward, we're happy to put an application in.
What is, Aaron, will you come to the podium, please? You're the one that's going to be preparing this, I guess. Aaron, what would be the dollar amount that you, if you were to look into, go into that, have you come up with an idea?
I'm glad you asked the question. I just looked at Juan and I said, Juan, we need to figure out how much this is gonna cost once we get a design concept. So we don't have a cost yet. I think we would have to have a plan that's more concrete, then we can estimate out that price.
The last time we applied for a grant to Ono, what was the dollar amount on it?
$500,000 plus the 150 that we have, correct.
So we know we can't go $500,000.
If I may, I think it's difficult to know. Our application last year, I think, was about as good as staff could put together, but it was all very conceptual. There was nothing that, any artistic renderings or anything like that that really would help to sell this type of application. And I think if we have some time.
What are your feelings for health and wellness?
I promote health and wellness.
Yeah, but I mean, towards, what do you think, in regards to doing the application and because you only have, what, a page?
Four pages, I think.
Yeah, three to four pages.
3 to 4 pages to do.
Anything over that,
You don't have that
we will
much,
look at.
that much to put.
Right.
Big of a packet to put, so. What do you think? What do you think, that we could, because the investment to the Little League Park, to Fletcher Park, is a great investment, and to improve that area a little bit more, the whole thing, whatever we could use and help, whatever you do with the children in Little League, whatever you do with walking trails, bicycle trails, all of that has to do with health and wellness. Even the money that we're investing in the Little League, that's for health and wellness too. So, because I had a meeting with the Carondelet people and some of the people there at Mariposa, and we discussed this, and a lot of communities are going after those funds, because they are. This started back, I think, since Governor Napolitano was there. They had a great program, but it's picking up. Communities are going after those funds. So I don't know.
And we could probably in the application, just building on this trail system, we could put as part of that application the community's commitment, to health and wellness and the youth in your $118,000.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I know, but you could capitalize on that and show the Tohoto
yeah, showing that we're investing.
that we're part of the investment on this. So,
There's no doubt, Mr. Mayor, that staff will put together the very best application that we can that tries to sell the community.
Members of the City Council. Feel comfortable with
I think that'd be good.
Yeah, something good. Let's go after that. I mean, we've gone after public safety and culture, amphitheaters. Mr. Valenciano.
I'm worried about the requirements. One time they were telling us they couldn't apply for any more parks and recreation. I wonder if they can fit that in as a recreational deal and just throw it out again.
Well, no, because
That's
you know
what I'm afraid
that.
of. It looks to me like it's
Yeah, I know, it feels that way, but when I was talking to the people from Carondelet, they're looking for bicycle trails, they're looking for pathways, they're looking for trails, exercise stations, like the trail that's at the courthouse, right in Tapia. We go to certain areas, do exercise, continue walking, and they're promoting health, and not only for the kids, but also for the adults. A lot of parents don't want to see the soccer game, so they'll walk around the trail and listen. I think that's the direction we should go. I feel comfortable with that. Members of the City Council,
so not to tie it in so much with recreation, but you could still put along the trail like monkey bars and
those are
places to
exercise
stretch and
stations. That's what
everything.
Mr. Dilly said.
That would still work, right?
yeah, we'll
It goes health and wellness.
yeah, of course. We'll start developing that application. We struggled as staff knowing, do we go for the gusto with all the exercise stations and the benches, or do we identify that that's the ultimate goal and maybe break it into phase 1, phase 2 kind of thing, where at least we get the trail. You know, at least we get that trail around with identified places for our stations, and we can work on that if the Tohonos don't grant that much to us. But at least break it out so we get something instead of all or nothing kind of thing.
Aaron, and that site is a historical site, a Holcomb actual historical site. Not that one hill, but the one south of there. Niels and I, we talked about it, remember Niels? That is dedicated, and so it's archaeological site, so, you know, I mean, it's something that we could even incorporate history, we talked about that. Incorporate history with the stations, so they can know exactly, you know, how it was during the Hohokam.
That would make the trail a lot better.
Let's go that direction. Members of the council?
Yes.
Agree with it?
Okay.
Mr. Dooley?
We're good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Consent agenda. From B to L.
So move, Mayor.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes?
Could you repeat what action just happened?
Consent agenda.
Uh-huh.
Was I wrong?
No, and then what?
From, is it B?
C.
A.
A.
Oh, okay, go A? Okay, because it says Wednesday. I mean, okay, I'll go from A to L.
If we can confirm that
Yeah.
motion second.
Second, all right. I didn't know you put an A and a B, Letty, with the dates. That's what the machine does? Okay.
So who motioned, please? Sorry. Who motioned on that?
I made the motion.
And second?
No, curva.
Thank you.
Okay, are we set?
Yep, thank you.
Orders. Number 10. Number 1, consideration possible action of order 2014-05-037.
So move, Mr. Mayor.
Second.
Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Number 2, consideration possible action of order 2014-05-038.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Mr. Mayor,
Go ahead, Mr. Dilly.
would you guys like any discussion on this Hughes project?
Yes, I do.
John, you're up.
John. Mr. Hanesian? John, get up. Nice shirt, huh?
A lot of color today.
John, you're up there, my friend. Go for it.
Yes, sir. This is the order authorizing us to enter into the contract with Days Excavating for the pavement of Q Street, not to exceed $133,322.40. They were the lowest, most responsible bidder for this project, and upon your approval of this, we will give them the notice to proceed and schedule them to get down here as soon as possible to start that. In the meantime, we have city crews doing some spot repairs on the sewers. I think we're going to install 2 manholes and coordinate that to make sure that that doesn't interrupt with the paving project as you are going to approve here in a few seconds, sir.
Well, I've been waiting for this since September of last year.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Mayor?
That's good. Alejandro? No.
Mr. Mayor?
Go ahead.
Members of the council, just so we're, just want to make sure everybody's clear on the scope of this work. It's going from roughly Western Avenue.
To the end of the street.
To Q Street, the end of Q Street.
Yeah, where it dead ends
Yes.
up and around that
Yes.
little corner there. So that's the
And
scope
another
of this
thing,
project.
for information, is CDBG money.
It is CDBG money.
It is CDBG money, Mr. Mayor, and if you notice here, it's not the entire amount of the CDBG grant.
Yes.
We were lucky enough to get this bid in underneath the CDBG grant, but the good news is we got 2 years to expend that money.
The other
As soon as we're done with this, we'll be bringing forward a recommendation for another project that we would have to go through, unfortunately, the same
Again,
tedious
yes.
process to make sure we're not gonna hurt any owls or anything like that, and get the environmental study and take care of another project.
Perfect. Thank you very much. So we have a motion?
Sure.
Thank you, sir.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Number 3, consideration possible action of order 2014-05-039.
So move, Mayor.
Second? Thank you, Mr. Hennessin.
Discussion?
Just wait a minute. Okay. Discussion, Mr. Dooley, go ahead.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, Councilmember Doyle, this project was put on staff's plate, and what we've done is we've gone out for JOC contract. This project is, in retrospect to like the Hughes project, very expensive because of the increased standard of road, subbase, and the surface to handle the truck traffic, and then there's some gutter work along the way to handle the drainage on that project as well. This bid is through a JOC contract, and it was done that way so that we could expedite the process and take advantage of the bid efforts of another jurisdiction. So it's here before you. Take advantage of this. This is being used. This will utilize as a funding source the overweight fees that have come in, and it's here before you for action and direction.
Could you mention the location for the public, Shane, where this is?
This is it's Gold Hill Road. So
It's from the railroad tracks where Wilson Produce is
To
at.
the first intersection?
Yes, all the way to the top past the warehouse.
Yes, sir.
In the top.
you're welcome.
Okay, any more discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Item number 4, consideration possible action of order 2014-05-040.
So move, Mayor.
Thank you very much. Second?
Second.
Thank you very much, Councilman. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor
I
signify.
had a question
Okay.
on that. Four-wheel drive, as a matter of fact, Mr. Councilman Hesian here was mentioning about if there was any way that we could maybe cut down in the future some of that high maintenance and high gas consumption on these four-wheel drives. And, how needed are these?
So, Mr.
Go
Mayor,
ahead,
members of
Mr.
Council,
Dooley.
Councilman Doyle, appreciate the question. I'm happy to report that it's the very question that I raised when this item was coming through for your consideration tonight. There is a response. There has been a link between the required vehicle and the intended use for that vehicle, and I would have to agree that accessing many of the places that we have to for both, the same question probably applies for the next item on the agenda, requires something other than a two-wheel drive. So, either John or Alejandro can fill that
Mr.
specifically.
Kissinger?
Mr. Mayor, as you know, with the sewer, with our sewer department, we do, we service the sewer lines, especially the more difficult one that goes from the U.S. border to the wastewater treatment plant,
Yes.
otherwise known as the IOI. Outside of city jurisdiction, there are various areas that it's only accessible to these very rough terrain and dirt roads, but even more in the rainy season, become very muddy and stuff. And the vehicles that we're replacing in the sewer department are also four-wheel drive vehicles. So they were purchased with the intent of being able to get to the rough areas where we do have these lines, and we're replacing them with the same type of vehicles because it was determined over the period of time we're using them that that type of vehicle is necessary.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kissinger.
Well, my next question would be, are these vehicles that are being used right now, are they, they're not in workable condition anymore? I mean, the life has gone out of them, or what's the reason to replace them?
Yes, sir, they're, and I don't have it in front of me, but it's in the staff summary, I don't know if somebody has it up, but they're 1998 with well over 150,000 miles, transmissions going out, issues like that, so I think they're well overdue and very much needed.
So we're
Every
not-
vehicle usually is close to 200,000 miles. I haven't seen a car in Public Works when I go.
all of these vehicles are
Something
replacing
believable.
vehicles, and so with 4 vehicles coming in between water and sewer,
They're needed.
there are 4 vehicles being sidelined, and where we're bringing in a 4-wheel drive, we're sidelining a 4-wheel drive, so we're not, from an operational standpoint, not adding costs that way.
Yes.
Actually, we'd probably be reducing costs.
Yes.
Yeah.
The
Probably more
newer model
efficient,
vehicles
too.
are more efficient on gas, and we're not spending that much money on the repairs.
But I will add on the water item just next is, you know, there's a lot of well sites that are in the same thing, where you have to traverse through, even over here in the Santa Cruz River, you have to traverse that to get to.
The Portreros.
That's correct.
Mr. Mayor?
Go ahead, Vice Mayor.
Maybe the question I think that's really being brought up is, these are F-350s. An F-350.
One's a 250.
And the next one is 350, yeah.
250 is what we're talking about.
Okay, well, all right, okay, but then in that case too, the same question would be asked, even if on the F-250, would an F-150 do, or are we using that much extra weight? I mean, do they really handle?
One thing I can say, Vice Mayor, is that once they come in, they're gonna put,
The service boxes on them.
the boxes. They're gonna put the racks on it. They're gonna put a lot of heavy equipment on it.
Pipe.
And at the majority of the time, they're carrying some type of heavy load, almost all the time, the sewer and the water, so.
Mr. Mayor,
Mayor,
if a
come on,
150
Vice
would have
Mayor.
done the job, we would have made a recommendation to buy the 150.
I mean, you tell us, Councilman, the way it works.
I just have a comment that I imagine all these vehicles are gonna be used when they're needed. They're not gonna be running around all over the place all the time. They're being used.
Well, that's why we have a
to be-
GPS system, and I think they should be installed. Well, that's a different story.
So I would imagine they're being used when they're being used, when they're needed.
These,
Not all the time, right?
these are service trucks,
That's
so,
what they are.
so they're gonna be used for everything. The issue is, they're going to allow our employees to get to where they need to go, regardless as if it's raining or not, so.
Well, open the door also for fire trucks, huh? Those fire trucks are, to me, they're not any good unless you get them replaced or get them refurbished, whatever. They have a lot of mileage and they're breaking down when they go on the call. I think that's more priority than 4.4.
Yeah, but we're off the,
Yeah.
we're off the, we're talking about different stories. Vice Mayor, just for your information, Vice Mayor, at the Portrero well, where the 16-inch line is, there is no road. You know where the well's at?
An F-150 will make it. Huh?
No, sir. No, sir. Sometimes these guys have to mule the stuff in there. I'm serious. Okay, we have a motion on this. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Item number 5. Consideration possible action of order 2014-05-041. We had the conversation already. Second, discussion. Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Item number 6, consideration possible action of order 2014-05-042.
Second.
Discussion. You don't wanna have Mr. Dilly say anything about this? No. Okay, go ahead, Vice Mayor.
Mr. Dilly, that 118,000, again, I think we've had this discussion several times, does that include rehabbing completely the bathrooms?
I'd have to defer to Mr. Batchelor to respond to that.
Vice Mayor. I think we talked about this before. I don't think.
Mr. Mayor,
Go ahead.
members of the council, the budget that was presented to the council back in February did not contemplate improvements to the restrooms. However, we will absorb those costs within our operating budget this year.
There you go.
Would you please, for the benefit of the mayor and council, explain what you intend to do to the bathroom facilities over there?
We're gonna replace all the fixtures, lavatory, valves, plumbing, faucets, and then we're gonna repaint everything as well.
Basically, it's gonna be a brand new.
Sure.
Basically.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Marcel.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, do I have a motion? Yes. Second? Yes. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Resolutions. Consideration possible action on resolution R 2014-05-003.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
It's up to you, we're prepared to give you an
All in
understanding
favor
what it is.
signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Executive session. Okay, so you should have saved the sandwiches for this one.
They're still in there.
They're still in there? Okay, all right. We will be going into executive session. All in favor? Signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. Mr. Dilly waived his city manager's report, future agenda items, and adjournment. Means adjourned.
All right.